Getting Started with French is a one-book course to introduce an independent student to the language. It's different from other French curriculum, and that's by design. The author, William Linney, is a Latin enthusiast who is not a fan of traditional language instruction. His belief is that foreign language learning should be self-explanatory, self-paced, and self-contained. A student should be able to progress without a teacher. He also wanted to make the language easy to learn by mastering a concept through practice exercises before moving on to the next concept. There are 3 components: the textbook, audio files for pronunciation, and audio files for lesson commentary. This course has 172 lessons that a student could complete over a school year or even in a semester. Free audio files provide pronunciation from native French speakers as an example for the student to imitate. A second collection of audio files provides brief commentary to guide the student through each lesson. Here, the author and a native speaker are expanding a bit on the lesson concept. They might connect to a past lesson or even compare something to English to help the student comprehend new information. You can download both sets of audio files as either MP3 files or a YouTube playlist from the book's website. A one-page pronunciation guide in the back of the book is helpful as a handy reference. Even here you see the author's unconventional take on learning sounds. His written examples are effective but do not use the International Phonetic Alphabet. With his method, vocabulary words and concepts are introduced gradually in daily bite-sized lessons. Students will only learn the beginning stages of French grammar, so it cannot be used on its own for a high school credit. That said, it's a good choice for the middle schooler with an interest in French to see if they want to take a deeper language course in high school. It would also be a good option for the adult curious about the French language. A typical lesson will include reading from the text and listening to the audio files for additional instruction and practice. Complete the written work and check your answers. Written work consists of translating up to 10 sentences from French to English using what you've learned, and students are encouraged to compare the languages. Grammar is presented with charts and examples. It's recommended you keep a notebook for your exercises. An answer key is found in the back of the book. A parent can quiz the student by backing up to a previous lesson and asking them to translate the exercises. Check their answers in the back of the book. You could also ask them to translate directly from the audio files to check their retention and comprehension of the language. Most lessons start with a new word and its meaning. Later, lessons might have a new concept or grammar point along with review material. As with all language instruction, correct pronunciation is important. French pronunciation is extra challenging with so many silent letters. There are sounds we don't use in English, and you'll need to practice these on your own. Listen to the word pronounced correctly and reproduce it yourself. You might feel silly at first, but watch yourself make the sounds in a mirror. This is the perfect opportunity to use those audio files for practice. French sounds will take time for your ears to get used to as well. What you read and what you hear may not make sense at first. Just give it time and practice often. It'll get easier to match the sounds you hear the more you read and listen. Let's take a look at the first several short lessons and then some later in the text. Lesson 1 is all about pronunciation and what to expect through the course. You're encouraged to say words and sentences out loud without being embarrassed. Lesson 1 is really a pep talk. You are to read it and let it soak in. That's it. Lesson 1 is done. Lesson 2 is about silent letters, particularly final consonants. You see this often with French words. This lesson is meant to get you in the right mindset to proceed. Again, you're expected to read it and let it marinate. No writing to do just yet. That's it. Lesson 2 is done. Lessons 3, 4, and 5 are about articles a, and the gender of words in French. You learn that an article must match the noun and gender, something we don't often do in English. There are no written exercises to complete. Lesson 6 is tricky, the French R sound. It takes years to get this right, and you'll still sound like an American speaking French, but that's okay. Try to do it like the book says and how the audio files demonstrate. Also, try not to lay it on too thick. It's better to sound a little American than to sound like a French cartoon character. Periodically, you'll see a section called Expressions Françaises. These are bits of French language we use in English. The purpose is to show that the language is relevant and interesting and that you already know some French. For example, déjà vu, Mardi Gras, and bon appétit are all familiar phrases from the French language. The next several lessons include common vocabulary like family members, pronouns, and there are some present tense verbs that are presented in small chunks for the beginner. You learn to say we are before you learn the entire conjugation of the verb to be. Later in the book, you'll learn the present tense of the irregular verbs to be and to have, as well as some regular verbs, which are easier. You'll get into asking questions, plurals, and how to make agreement, as well as several common expressions. Importance is placed on making agreement when necessary, and you have written work in most all lessons. You can add to this lesson by thinking of your child's learning style. Add simple songs to help a child develop their pronunciation and to teach vocabulary to an auditory learner. Create a memory game with the vocabulary words and flip over matching pairs to encourage a hands-on learner. Your visual learner can draw pictures and label items around the house using their new vocabulary and index cards. By the end of the book, a student will have a good beginner French vocabulary and be prepared to either study a formal French course in high school or simply apply what they've learned in this course. Getting started with French is an efficient way to explore the French language with your family. You can easily use it with multiple students, each writing in their own notebook, starting about 4th grade. It's inexpensive and straightforward. The free audio download assures correct pronunciation of difficult words and phrases. If you'd like more information about this program or other materials we carry, please contact our curriculum consultants during business hours by phone at 888-841-3456 or live chat, or after hours by email, consultants@rainbowresource.com. Be sure to like and subscribe for more helpful homeschooling videos.